Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever in the world you are. Welcome. It is another Thursday. Indeed, it is another Thursday already. And I just want to welcome each and everyone, wherever you are joining from, whether you're joining from Africa, from Europe, from Asia, Antarctica, North America, South America, wherever you are joining from. Welcome, guys. It is another Thursday. And of course, this evening, tonight, we are going to look at the legacy of Dr. Arthur Wint, Olympian, Olympic champion, surgeon, pilot, ambassador, you name it. We are going to be talking with two of his daughters tonight, Valerie and Colleen Wint, and we are going to be learning about another Olympian, a pioneer. So, guys, do not go anywhere. Stay right there. I will be right back with my guest to get into things. So, stay right there.
Your girl HP is on her mark, so get set ready.
On your mark, set, go.
Oh yeah, make we chat about it. What the fastest? Make we chat about it. Or on left, make we chat about it. Check and feel at the topic. Oh, make we chat about it. Latest news, make we chat about it. All your views, make we chat about it.
Track and feel chat for say. With your girl HP.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back and we are live with Colleen Wint and Valerie Wint, daughters of the great and legendary Mr. Arthur Wint, Dr. Arthur Wint, Olympic champion. Ladies, good evening and welcome to HP Chat Track.
Good evening.
Hi, evening.
It is good to be here, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm excited, and I hope you guys are just as excited. And already we have people rolling in. We have 1972 Olympian Ivan Saunders, who is Vonnie M, and we have 1988 Olympian Vivienne Morano, who is here with us. And already they are saying hi to Colleen and Valerie. I'm not sure if you ladies can see the comments, but they are saying hello to you guys. Ladies, let us get into your dad's story and your dad's life. And any one of you can answer as you see fit. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Arthur Wint before he even got to high school level. Can you recall where he was born, where he grew up, that kind of thing, what he was like as a little boy? Did your grandparents share the story? Did he share any of the story? Tell us a little bit about his baby background.
So he was born in Plowden, which is South Manchester, and that's where he was born. Yes, and his mother was a school teacher. His father was a minister, and so they had tended to kind of move around a little bit, because Granddad had to give sermons in different places. But he was born in Plowden. As a child, we haven't really heard that much about it. The most I've heard is Aunt Kathleen, who is his youngest sister and only surviving sibling. She used to say that he was just her big brother, and she couldn't see what all the excitement was about, that he could run fast.
But even before that, he there were three brothers. So there was Mavis, and that's the eldest, and then there was Arthur, Lloyd, and Douglas, the three brothers in the middle, and then Kathleen at the end. And Valerie, by the way, that's Colleen. So so the three brothers were quite close in age, and say that they would go around together. They would one of the things they used to do was go fishing in the stream and catch janga, which is like a big shrimp. and they would cook the jango on the side of the river and eat it. And yeah, they were all three of them were runners, but Daddy was the fastest. But they all ran for their primary schools and so on. As Colleen said, their mother was a school teacher, and I think her family came from Falmouth. Excuse me. And
Yeah. Because she was a teacher as well, there's the story of him in, I think it was probably in primary school, maybe when they were in St. Mary or somewhere.
in St. Mary, in Galena, in St. Mary.
In Galena, there was a girl in his class that he liked. And so he wrote her a
love letter.
A love letter. And unbeknownst to him, Grandma, his mother, found the letter and said, Arthur, come here. And he's now petrified because he now sees that she has the letter, which is supposed to be private for this girl. And she says, all right, look at this. That's spelled wrong. You put a comma here, and never, ever write a young lady in red pen. Go and do it again.
Wow.
And that was the end of that friendship.
Wow. Red ink. Oh.
Well, he probably thought it was romantic.
Yes, yes, indeed. And this was while he was living in Manchester, right? As a little boy.
In St. Mary.
In St. Mary. They were in Galena at
this time.
Galena
in St. Mary.
Okay, so he was born in Manchester, but they moved to St. Mary.
They moved all over.
They moved around a bit because of Granddad and the church. You know, he had to be preaching.
Interesting. St. Mary comes up a lot on this program. Can you recall the basic school he went to, the primary school?
No.
Okay.
No. And if they moved into a place that had no school, his mother started a school. So
yeah, she was always there. So you know,
when I was doing my research and I was gathering, because I research athletes and I gather information. When I came up on this place, Plowden in Manchester, I've never heard of it before. Is it like rural Manchester, or we're talking about like Mandeville area?
No, it's rural. It's rural. In fact, I only went there for the first time 2 years ago. The development committee there was honoring him on his centenary at the time. And they invited us to a fun day. They were putting up some banners. They had some murals at some of the schools about him and so on. And it really was, some of the roads you drive on and you kind of waiting to see another vehicle. But the most absolutely gorgeous view of the sea, you know, because it's quite
on the south side.
It's on the south side and elevated. So it was quite rural.
Wow. Never heard of it. So I'm learning as we go along. Ladies, your father, he wore a lot of hats. He was many things: an athlete, a pilot, a doctor, surgeon, high commissioner. But before we get to most of those, we're going to start with him as an athlete, because I'm sure he was an athlete first, started in high school and stuff. But did your father share anything about his journey? What motivated him to become an athlete? Where did it start?
He could just run fast.
He could run fast.
He used to run in some of the little towns that they lived in. You know, they would have a community sports day, and as a young man, young boy, like
probably in his
early teens, maybe, he would beat the grown men in the races. So, and then when he went to Calabar High School, that's when he got into athletics in a bigger way, because now there was boys champs.
Did he share any of those memories with you, being at boys champs and stuff? Because he was at Calabar when Calabar won boys champs. Was it 1937? I think he was there. Did he ever share any of those memories?
No, not specifically. No.
Anything I got was from his brother Lloyd.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was matter of fact with him sometimes,
yes.
You know. he wasn't, making a big deal out of it and so on. It just was, he began running in competitive
Mm-hmm.
events from about the age 11 or 12.
You're right.
And in fact, he was running through high school. He also did long jump. But
Long jump.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, the legs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there is a story actually of one, they have these development meets, I think it was. And he was late, and somebody called and said, you've missed your race. So he went down there, and the only event that was left was the long jump, which he did, and he won. So he used to do that.
He
But
also used to swim.
yeah, he also swam.
Oh
He was
wow.
a swimmer.
Talk
And
about talk about versatile. He was a versatile
oh,
athlete.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, and I'll tell you another story as well. But talking about the swimming, he had to choose between athletics and swimming. But Jamaica didn't have
A
a,
big swimming culture.
a culture of swimming.
Yes,
You
true.
know, there was already a culture of athletics in the high schools, and so that was the better choice. The other thing I was going to say is fast forwarding many years, and he's in Canada in the prairies training for the RAF, and he learns to skate and play hockey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about legacy. But before we even get to that,
Hmm.
he switched from Calabar to Excelsior. He went to two of Jamaica's prestigious high school, Calabar, then Excelsior. Um, did he ever share why the switch was made from one to the other?
It was his parents.
He was not doing well at school, and he was paying too much attention to athletics and not to his academics. And so
So they
they
moved
moved
him.
him.
They moved him
Oh.
In fact,
from
I think it was Mavis, his big sister, who said, you have to move him.
move him to and I think Excelsior was a fairly
Yes.
new high school at the time.
It was still on North Street at the time.
Yeah.
And so that they moved him there.
But I think, and as you asked about people who influenced him and so on, I think one of his coaches had been G.C. Foster. And I think, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure one of your viewers and listeners will correct us. But I think when he moved to Excelsior, he was encouraged to continue training with Mr. Foster. Um, but
And at the time at Excelsior, he became a coach as well. He was training some of the
some
kids.
of the younger kids, yeah.
Wow. It's interesting that you say that because Calabar seemed to recognize him a lot because of course his name is also there's also a track meet that is named after him. And I
Yes.
remember I got in a discussion with some track fans and they're saying a lot of people tend to forget that Dr. Arthur Wint also attended Excelsior and he did most of his high school life at Excelsior. But the thing is that Calabar put him in everything. So a lot of people are more aware
Yeah.
of that he went to Calabar than
And
Excelsior.
but he was probably about 15 or 16 when he left. So it's not like he did most of his high school at Excelsior. He did a lot of it at Calabar.
At Calabar, and it was there that he represented Calabar at
Champs.
at Champs,
Mhm.
and I think pretty much most of the years he was like champion boy and so
Yes.
on. And I
Right.
think it got to the point where some of the other schools were saying kind of hold him back, give some of the other boys a chance, which is when I think he started doing probably more of the high jump and the
Mhm.
and the long jump,
Mhm.
and then he moved. Yeah.
Are you aware? Do you know at what point in his track and field career that he really got serious and said, "Look, I want to compete at the Olympics," or it was not really a thing? Did he really share those stories with you guys?
No.
No, not
No.
really. I think it was just kind of like a natural
Yeah,
progression.
it was kind of a natural progression because you haven't got to this point in his life yet. But
Mhm.
when he went to England, he joined track clubs
Yes,
wherever
he
he was,
did.
and
And
so
in
it
Canada.
progressed from there.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So he was just a natural and he was just moving
And of
into
course,
it
he
as
had
he
gone
goes.
to, as a schoolboy at 17, he went to Panama for was it the Central
Central
American
American and Caribbean
Pan
Games.
Am Games in Panama
Mhm.
in 1938, and he was 17.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. Before we go any further, ladies, let us just welcome people are rolling in. Tony Phillips is there, Rymar's Truck Club down in St. Mary, saying St. Mary all the way. Ruth Williams Simpson is also here, Olympian, three-time Olympian at the 400 meters. She's saying, good evening, everyone. Dr. Wint, a man with many talents, indeed. Another athlete who is here is Daniel England. I'm sure you ladies might have been aware of this name, but Daniel England, outstanding track and field athlete for Calabar, he's saying good evening. Monica
Mhm.
Lewis is also saying good evening, everyone. Grace Wint, good evening. Welcome, welcome. Is that your sister?
What's the name?
Grace.
Grace.
She's some relative.
Okay.
They say all the
Yes,
winds are
yes.
related.
Grace, welcome. You are a part of the family. Welcome, Grace. Welcome. She said she's watching from South Florida. Welcome, Grace.
Yes.
Regina Montague is also here. She's saying good evening. Outstanding schoolgirl for Titchfield High School over in
Okay.
Portland, and also outstanding track and field coach at Dintil Technical High School. Miss Vilma Charlton is here, also another regular. I call her Auntie Vilma. Welcome, Auntie Vilma, three-time Olympian herself. Lilith Hodges, another Olympian from out of St. Mary and St. Mary High
It's
School.
a lot of people, man.
Yes, they're all here. They're here every week. They're here every week. And
Really.
Lilith is saying, hi, everyone. Dr. Wint left a legacy behind, a legacy he left behind, indeed. Miss Vilma Charlton is saying, welcome, Valerie and Colleen. Good to see and hear you both. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Now, ladies, back to your father. Now we're going to segue and fast forward a little bit into his life from Calabar to Excelsior to universities. Universities. And we're going to start with University of Westminster. It's not Minister, Westminster in London,
But you're
London,
skipping a
England.
whole section of his life
Wow.
There was the war.
because there was the war.
Right. And I'm going to talk about that because how have him as an athlete and then a pilot, a doctor, and
Yes.
so
So you
forth.
have to go through
Yeah.
the war years
Yeah.
first because he wasn't in university until
He
Okay, so
became a
there
pilot first in
yeah.
in the Second World War.
okay, so yes, that I have on my list to talk
Yeah.
about. Let us talk about this. Guys, Dr. Arthur Wint was not just an Olympian, an Olympic champion, and track star. This man was a pilot. And guess what? He was also a pilot in World War II. Ladies, tell us a little bit about your dad being a pilot and being at the World War II. Just tell us a little bit about that part of his legacy.
So when the war started, of course, Jamaica being a colony at the time, everybody was watching what was happening over there and um, concerned about the motherland and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point in about 1941, 42, he decided to join the RAF, the Royal Air Force, the British Royal Air Force. And at the time, they had what they call the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan, where they took people from Australia, India, New Zealand, and the Caribbean to Canada to train for the different jobs in the RAF. Of course, the top job that everybody wanted was to be a pilot. Not everybody made it to be a pilot, but he did.
Yeah.
So he trained in Canada, and then
he ran track in Canada.
And he ran track in Canada. I'll come back to that. He trained in Saskatchewan and in Manitoba, and then he was shipped to England, and he was with the RAF in England. He flew Spitfires, and if anybody knows what a Spitfire looks like, it is a small plane, and I don't know how a 6'5.5" man fit into it, but he did. When he went to Manitoba, a town called Brandon, the day he arrived, he learned that they were having an inter RAF base track meet, and so he entered, of course, and he and a Canadian man tied for the Canadian record at the time. Unfortunately, it was an unofficial record because it was wind assisted, so it was an official record. But he and this guy from Ontario. So he was shipped off to England, and he became one of the first black officers in the RAF. He was a flight lieutenant in the RAF, and because of his stint in the RAF, he was able to go to university after the war was over.
Wow.
So that's how you get to the university part.
Oh, so that's how he got to the universe. But you know what I want to ask you? He is training and everything at the war. How did he find time to be training to do athletics?
Well, the one in Manitoba, he just went and ran.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're training in the armed forces, you have to do physical training. So he was fit. He was young. He was 22, 23. And then when he went to England, there was a whole culture of athletics in England, and so he was able to slot into a couple of clubs. The main one was a club called the Polytechnic Harriers.
But he does mention in that article in Sports Illustrated that because, later when he was going to university, he really just had to kind of try and fit the training in, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Ran a couple of 300s, ran a couple of 600s, and so it really wasn't intense.
And remember, in those days, you were an amateur. This was not your job the way it is now.
True.
When I was writing my book, I interviewed Donovan Bailey and asked him what it was like, the day before and the morning of the day you were going to run at the Olympics. And he said, to be honest, it was like another track meet, because that was his job. That was what he did. That was his job. My father was a postman and a medical student and a young husband, and he was running.
Wow,
He was also a young father because
she was born.
I was born.
This is awesome. This is what you called legacy. This is a story. But you know what I want to ask you, ladies? Did he talk about the war? What was it like? Because that war.
They didn't talk about.
They didn't talk about the war.
He talked about incidents like when they were off and they were going to the pub. There was one time they all went to the pub and he got drunk and was riding a bicycle, and somehow again 6'5", he got his knees stuck up under the handlebars and fell into a ditch.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, and he said ever since then he had tried to see how to get your feet under a handlebar. He can't do it again. But they never really talked about the war. It was the friendships and where they would socialize or getting mail from home. So they never really talked about.
A lot of people who experienced the war, they did not glorify it. I tried to interview him. He just clammed up, wouldn't talk. And other people I know who went through the war in different experiences didn't talk about it unless you really push them. They didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Because this war, this World War II, which started what, 1939,
Yes,
it postponed two Olympic Games,
yes,
1940 and 1944.
yes, yes, yes.
And the 48 one was a rush.
And the 48 one was a rush because the IOC said to England, can you host the game? And they
Yeah,
said
pull it
okay.
together.
And they put it together quickly based on research. They put it together quickly. And of course, your dad went there and did what he did, but we're not ready to talk about him being Jamaica's first Olympic champion. Let us talk about university now. Know that he went to the war, he came back and decided that he is going to go to university. Um, Tell us a little bit about that. Whatever little you know about his university journey
Well,
and
he didn't come
athletics.
back to Jamaica. He went straight. He was in England after the war ended, and he stayed and went to. He studied at St. Bartholomew's Hospital. Um, that's where he did his medical degree.
Yeah.
It's also where I was born, and it's also where our other sister Alison, who is in England, that's where she
That's
studied.
where she studied
She's
as
a
well.
doctor as well.
But go ahead, Valerie.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
This story is, this is a very, very good story. And all when I was doing my research and I saw all of this coming up, and I was saying, how did your father find time to train to go to the Olympic Games and became Olympic champion? He must have told you guys that story. Tell us a little bit about it.
Not
Not
really.
really.
Not really. But um, it was a case of putting your mind to it. It was something he loved and something he was good at. He did not. What he did tell me is that he was told he was lazy because he didn't train
Lazy.
as much as he should train.
Lazy. He's doing all of what he's doing and he's lazy.
In terms of his no his track
Oh, the
training.
track training.
You know, because he didn't have all that much time, so he did what he could. I
Right.
get this from there's a man called John no
Parlett.
John Parlett. John Parlett is an English man who was also a 400 and 800 meter runner in England and became very good friends with my father, to the point where Mr. Parlett's mother rented an apartment to my parents when they had been turned down a number of times by other English people. So John Parlett was a very close friend of my father's, and he was the one who said, your father was not, he was a bit of a lazy athlete. He didn't train as much as he should, but he beat John regularly. So yeah.
Very interesting. I love it. I love it. Ladies, before we go any further, guys, before we go any further, I just want to, if you're just joining us, welcome wherever you're joining from. And remember, if you want me to see your comments and read your comments, please to come on over to YouTube where I can see your comments and read your comments. And I also want to say a special welcome to the Wint family, who is watching, and also the McKinley family, the family of Herb McKinley, who is also watching tonight. Welcome, welcome, guys. And please, guys, remember to subscribe and share and watch and like. And because this is Jamaica's track and field legacy, and of course, we are here to share it with you, to bring it with you. And now we're going back to Valerie and Khalid. Of course, Valerie is in the red, or is that pink?
It's
Valerie
kind of orangish.
Valerie is in the orangish red, pink, and Colleen
And
is
Colleen.
in the Jamaican color, the yellow. Ladies, it is really a pleasure to have you here tonight. I'm just, bursting with excitement hearing about this legendary of a man who have contributed abundantly to our track and field legacy. Now, A lot of history was written at the 1948 Olympic Games, a whole lot of it, and your dad did a part of it. Just after World War II, as we just talked about. But your dad came home, Jamaica going to its first Olympic Games as a country. Your dad came home with a quinella, he came home with a gold medal, and he also came home with a silver medal in the 800 meters. Did he describe, did he tell you guys about this achievement? Did he talk about it when you guys were grown?
No, because like that 800. I read about this in an interview he did back in, when was it, 1983 with Sports Illustrated. He said, I have an hour, and he spoke to them, and he said, like the 800, he said he really should have won that race, because he said in the semis, the somebody from France was doing very well, so he had figured, I'm gonna stick with this French guy. But I forget, was it Margaret Field?
I don't know.
Anyway, he stuck with the French guy, and the Americans passed them both, and he got squished between the two French. So he said he got his strategy wrong. And
Okay.
as I talk about strategy, one of the things he used to do as well, he and mommy lived in a fairly small apartment, and in England they tend to have the toilet separate from um from the bath. It's not all one big room, at least it wasn't in the time. And so he used to draw on the back of the bathroom door the track and work out his strategy, where he was going to, try and peek here, or what he was going to do there, and so on. So
His
he would
race
draw it,
strategy.
yeah, he
Yes.
would draw it on the back of the bathroom door.
Yes,
Interesting,
yes.
interesting.
But
But
he didn't talk about the 800 meters, but he talked about the
The
400.
400.
oh yes.
So you want me to talk about that now, or you want to?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly where we are heading,
All
because
right.
one of the most talked about race in the history of Jamaica track and field is that 400-meter quinella with
Tell me
your
what. Sorry, just stick up in for a second. You keep using the word quinella. I know it has
Horse
a
racing.
horse racing connotation. I have no idea what it means.
It's when you get first and second in
Oh,
the yes. So we
okay,
got
okay.
gold and
And
silver
so, yes, yes.
with your father winning gold, and of course
Herb,
another legend, Mr. Herb McKinley,
yes.
winning the silver medal. So that race is one of the most talked about race in the history of our Olympic Games. Arthur Wint and Herb McKinley running together to win 1-2 for Jamaica, because a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago exactly, I interviewed Herb Jr., and he said how his father described the race was that he was trying to hold on, but he heard the feet coming, and he knew that it was Arthur Wint coming. And of course, Mr. Herb McKinley was picked on the line. How did your father talk about that race? Your
So
father must have talked about that race.
yes, he did. So what he said was that he was prepared to let Herb win
Because Herb was the
because
favorite
Herb was the favorite,
for that race, yeah.
but he could hear the Americans coming up, and he said, "I'm damned if I'm going to let the Americans win this race." And he saw that Herb was starting to get tired. So that's when Herb heard the pounding feet, because my father was damned if he was going to let the Americans win the race.
I
So that
like
was
that, You know why I like that? I love that. You know why I like that? Especially where you said he wanted Herb to win because Herb was a favorite. Yes, Herb was the favorite. Teamwork.
that's it. Always teamwork
They
with him.
worked as a team.
Hmm.
There wasn't you never got a sense of there being a rivalry and so on.
Yeah.
They it was the team.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. So he was saying, I want my teammate to win, but if my teammate cannot do it, I am going to do it.
Yes.
I
Exactly.
just love that. My eyes getting teary just talking about the team effort, because I like that. But how did it, apart from that, what else did your father said about that race?
Mm, I don't know. I can't think of anything specific that he said
I
about the race. It
I,
was you know
I
they
love
they didn't have the type of gears that
that
athletes
we're
go
seeing
through.
now, right?
No, so even like in the relay, I think was it a shirt they had to share
They had to
or
share
two.
shirts.
So whoever ran first had to give something
I forgot about that.
had to give to the person who's running fourth. It was something
Wow.
like that. I think it was a shirt.
They
Yes,
had
here
to.
we go. All right. I'm just looking at my book here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Arthur was running in second place behind Herb around the final curve, with Mal Whitfield from the US coming third. He was happy to come second to Herb. However, not too far from the finish line, Arthur realized that Herb was flagging, and he had a split-second decision to make. He had been content to let Herb win, but he was certainly not content to let Herb lose, or to let Jamaica lose, nor to hand the race over to the American, and so he sped up past McKinley and so won the medal. So
Beautiful.
it was Mel Whitfield.
And guess what? We got one, two. We got gold
Yes.
and we got silver. And before we go any further, welcome, special hello to the McKinley family. And also welcome to Dorothy Scott Genius, another of Jamaica's Olympian from the 80s, formerly of Veer Technical. And we also have Tammy and Herb on the live. And they're saying, hi, Colleen. We met at the inaugural Wint McKinley track
Yes, I
meet
remember.
Yep,
at
yep,
Calabar in 2016 that introduced the first high school synthetic track.
yes,
Wow.
yes,
What
yes.
a legacy. Those two family, Wint and McKinley, legacy, legacy,
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah.
And I really, really love that. And what you said about that race, I love that. But 1948 wasn't the only time that we did that. Team Jamaica lit up London 1948. It was Jamaica's first Olympic Games as a country. And of course, Jamaica shook up London with that 1-2, relegating the Americans to third. But there was a heartbreak in the relay.
Mm-hmm.
There was a heartbreak in that 4x4 because Jamaica was the team to beat. Jamaica was the team to beat. Jamaica was a favorite, and it was short lived because on the third leg, Dr. Arthur Wint, your dad, he pulled up with an injury and hearts were broken. I'm sure his heart was broken more than
It was.
anybody else.
Yeah.
Share a little bit of that with me if you guys have anything to
I
share on.
can tell you, there's a TV series. I think it's called The Ones That Got Away, which really is focusing on Herb. Um, but it shows because he didn't win the gold in the 400, and then
Yes,
in the relay, we didn't finish.
right.
And I remember I was probably maybe about 16. This program came on, and Daddy was watching it and so on. And then when they started to show that race, he got up and left the room. He didn't want to see it again. And so, which at first we thought, how strange. Why didn't Daddy want to watch the relay? And then when we saw him pull up and beating the baton on the
On the
ground,
ground, yes.
it was
He was
he was devastated.
he was devastated. Was devastated for himself, but he was devastated for
For
his team.
Jamaica,
He had
Mhm.
let his team down.
yeah. It was, and everybody just, as you say, felt the crowd was there with them.
Mm-hmm.
They really wanted to see these four Jamaicans, take it. And then to see that happen, it was really, that was really heartbreaking, as you say.
It was indeed. And to this day, track fans still talk about that race. And the as you said, when it's an individual event, it's not that bad. But when it is a team event, you feel bad. I don't even know how to explain it, but even when your teammates are saying, look, it's okay, it happens, because we all know that injuries happen. It can happen during a race. It can happen while you're working out. But that heartbreak was,
Hmm.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was a hard one. That was a hard one.
That was a hard one.
And it
But
was hard for him to look at again.
yes,
yeah. I can imagine.
I remember. I can't remember which Olympic Games it was, but it was would have been maybe Tokyo. Anyway, I was already in Canada, and they were talking about they were going to show this film, and I'm sitting with my daughter and I'm hugging the pillow and I'm starting to hyperventilate because I have never actually, at that point, I had never actually seen the race, but I knew about it and I knew what I was going to see. And I remember her saying, "Mom, it's okay, it's okay." And I'm, it was so hard to see your father in that state,
Being upset, yeah.
And my uncle, his brother Lloyd, told me he was in the stands, and he actually ran onto the field to be with his brother. And he says in one of the films you can actually see him a little bit.
Oh,
Yes.
I must look for that.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. But 4 years later, 1952,
Yes.
Jamaica turned up again, this time in Helsinki.
Yes.
Of course, we got another gold and silver in the 400, and your father repeated his 800-meter silver medal.
Silver.
To this day, those two silver medals by your dad are the only 800
Really?
medals that we've won at the Olympic Games. Yes. We
Yes.
haven't we're yet to win another medal
Yes.
in the
Bert Cameron should have won one in Los
in
Angeles,
the 400. Yes, in
but
the
he
Mhm.
also pulled up lame.
Yes.
But he finished the race and he came fourth, which is
And he made
truly
the final.
astonishing.
That was 1984.
Yes.
1984 in Atlanta. Right,
Mm.
right. And your dad repeated 4 years ago, 800-meter. He is in a class by himself because no other Jamaican is in that category winning 800-meter record. Can you recall his thoughts when his teammate won another gold and silver 1952? He wasn't in that race, but did he talk about
I don't remember.
George Roden and Herb again? Of
No.
course, Herb came second again.
Again.
Yeah.
No.
He didn't talk about it specifically. I'm sure he was overjoyed and so on, but
Mhm.
sometimes he just never really made much of some of these things.
He didn't
You know,
talk
he had,
much.
he had, he had moved on in life to other things, and
That was another life.
that was another life. Yeah.
All right, the moment has arrived. Victory, redemption, the 4x4 1952. Now, I think I read something where they switched. I don't know if it was Herb who made the suggestion to switch your dad to run the first leg because your father ran the first leg 1952. Of course, Jamaica took home gold from Arthur Wint to Les to Herb to George Roden, 4x400-meter gold in
Hmm.
record time.
Yes.
Tell me about that race and how he
Well,
felt about
it's
it.
funny I know less about that one
Yeah,
than
that than
the
the
But
fourth.
this
40.
Yeah.
was but this was the gold medal, you
I
know.
know. I know.
I don't know too much about that one differently, um,
Yeah.
because again, he was,
He was
really
too humble.
he was
He was.
actually he was, and he was starting to do other things with his life as well.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right,
You know,
right.
Because by that time he was well into his medical training.
Mm-hmm.
I was already born because I was born in 51, and then I think he retired 55, 56.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But this was sweet. This was
Yes.
sweet for Jamaica. And it was even sweeter because it was the same
Same
four
for
The
men
same four. Yes.
from 1948 who were
Yes.
denied because of unforeseen.
The Helsinki Quartet.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed, indeed, indeed.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
before we go any further, I just want to read some more comments. Rymar's Truck Club from St. Mary saying, big up the two special ladies bringing on the legacy. Indeed. Yvonne Vonnie M is saying he must have been a humble man. And it seemed as if that's what he was. Vilma Charlton is saying, I believe that Dr. Arthur Wint had a hand in encouraging Ruth as how to run the 400 meters.
Really?
Indeed, because she did say, Ruth did say it was Mr. Herb McKinley who convinced her or suggested to her to try the 400 meters. So those two men, they also give back. Marlene Green is saying, Dr. Arthur Wint, the great 800-meter runner. Distance running is saying, good morning. Regina is saying, good night, good morning, and so forth. So the love keep coming for your dad. And let me tell you, ladies, I have track and field discussions every day, and we talk about these people. We go back in time because they are the pioneers. They set
They
the
are.
trend
They
for
are.
what we are seeing now. Your thoughts on that, knowing that your father is one of the trendsetter, he's one of the pioneers.
Well, was it 2008 when Usain sort of burst into the
Stratosphere.
into the stratosphere? I kept reminding people long before Usain, there was Arthur.
and he would say, and again in that interview, he said there were people who ran and did well before me, but he managed to, again, through whether it's perseverance, his love and passion for it, because as he said, if he didn't enjoy it, he wouldn't have done it from he was 12.
Yes, that's
till
right.
till he was 32 or whatever it was.
Right. I
I
want to say something about um, his attitude. He used to do something that today the sports psychologists are probably using. He used to use visualization. Colleen talked about the track that he drew on the back of the door. That was one thing. But he used to lie on the floor in the I guess in the change room before a race with his legs up the wall and visualize the race in his mind. Just completely tune out everything that was going on around. It was a meditation, basically. He would lie with his legs up the wall, yes, and would visualize the race and calm himself down.
Visualization, indeed. A lot of sports psychologists now, that is one of the method they're using to help athletes to relax and to visualize the race, put it in your mind before you go on the track. But you mentioned something just now as it relates to when Usain Bolt came on the scene and others, and you said your father said there were people before him, and you're right. There was a man called GC Foster. If Jamaica was, he wanted to compete at the Olympic Games, but Jamaica was not a member of the IOC yet. And the time that he was running, he would have made the final of the 1908 Olympic Games in the 100 meters.
Yeah. And he was so instrumental in his career, and it's amazing, as you say, he was a very humble person. When he was working as a medical doctor and surgeon in Linstead, there were days when he would disappear, and he was at GC Foster College, and as they used to say back in the war, he went to do his bit. It wasn't, nobody asked him, that was him giving back to a very great athlete and coach who had mentored him, had helped him so much,
Wow. Jamaica. This is Jamaica's legacy and all the people who have contributed to this. Let us just say good night to Jennifer Bias. Good night. Distance running is saying we learn about visualization and it work.
Okay, excellent.
That's what she's saying. She's actually a female coach at the Camperdown High School, and she's saying it worked. And I've heard other athletes says that visualization works. I learned about that from sports psychologists and stuff. If Von Saunders is saying, I believe Dr. Wint would have retired before the 48 games, but he had to get. Oh, she's saying she thought that he would have retired before
Ah,
then, but of course he needed his revenge.
yeah.
He
No,
needed his
I think the
revenge.
last. I think
But
the
I'm
last
glad he
thing.
did not retire before that time, because that team is the real, I call them the dream team. That's the real dream team. Jennifer Bias, good night, good night. Let us just look at some of your dad's legacy before we go further. Your father was truly unique. He was a unique sportsman, a champion on and off the field. Let us look at some of his legacy. Olympic champion. He was Olympic champion in the 400 and the 4x400 meter relays. 1952 he won gold in the 4x400 meter relay and silver in the 800. World record and Olympic record 1952 in the 4x400 meter relays. 1948 gold in the 400 and silver in the 800 meters. Olympic double silver medalist at the 800. We don't have that. He is the only one in that category. Only Jamaican to compete in the 400 and the 800 meter at the same Olympic Games. He competed at the CAC Games in 1946, where he won gold in the 880 yards, 400 meters, and 4x400 meter relays. The Pan Am Games in 1938, 800 meters gold. It seemed as if your dad liked the 800 meter.
Yes. I
Yeah, it
guess it
seemed.
gave him a chance to stretch his legs out.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. He also competed at the District Service Championship. And this, of course, had to do with the Royal Air Force. I think it was their meet. It was an amateur.
That's the one I was
Um,
telling you about.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. Off the track, I mean, he was a graduate of so many universities. He was a pilot at the Royal Air Force and a World War II pilot. He was a doctor, a surgeon, high commissioner, ambassador. Wow. Order of distinction. He had personal best in the 400 meters of 46.20, personal best in the 800 of 1 minute 58.90 seconds, and a personal best, which was the world record that they ran in 1952 of 3 minutes 03 and 90 seconds. Your father, remarkable career, and there's a lot more, but his remarkable career has helped to set up Jamaica's foundation in this rich track and field legacy that we have today. I mean, it is amazing. It is amazing. But let us segue now to your dad as a doctor. Tell us a little bit about him now as a doctor.
So he's, like I said before, he studied at St. Bartholomew's Hospital in London. And then after he graduated, as I said, I was born then, and we moved back to Jamaica, and he worked at the University Hospital. Um, and then,
And children's, did he work with children?
well, that's later. And then he went back to England before Colleen was born. He went back to England and started his surgical studies. And then when Colleen was born and she was a year old, and my other sister was 2, I was 7, we all moved to England and lived there for 4 years.
He worked
What-
at
And he worked.
Altrincham General.
Yes, we lived in a town called Altrincham, which is south of Manchester, and he worked at the Altrincham General Hospital there, and studied at Manchester University. Did his surgery, got his FRCS, which is Fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons, And then in 1963, we moved back to Jamaica, and he worked at, where did he work then?
Children. Was that when you worked at Children?
No,
I don't remember.
So
1960.
he
Oh,
came.
yeah,
So he came.
he worked here in Kingston for a while, and then he was posted to Falmouth.
Okay.
And he worked in Falmouth for a short while, and then he was posted to Lucy. And
Wow.
he was in Lucy for a long time.
Yeah.
And we stayed in Kingston for school.
And he also used to do a couple of stints in Green Island, because for a long time he was the only doctor in the parish. So everybody had to come to him pretty much. And then
He had some outposts that he would go to.
Yeah.
Tell me about his practice in Linstead.
So that's later. That's later.
That's later in his life.
Yeah, that's after he was High Commissioner. When he came
Okay.
back after that. So from Lucy, he was asked to be High Commissioner, and so both my parents and both my sisters went to England, and you can talk about that part because I wasn't there.
But that wasn't him being a doctor. But while he was there as High Commissioner and Ambassador to Scandinavia, Sweden, and so on, he did a course in forensic medicine. So while he was High Commissioning, he was also studying.
Wow.
So when he put his mind to something and he wanted to get it done, even if he had to do it over again, he would, persevere and try and get it done. It wasn't as if, okay, I've reached here, I don't need to go any further. If there's something else that I can do to build on what I already have.
How did he ever share his strategy, how he was able to balance everything? Because he was doing some of these things simultaneously. He was doing them together.
It's difficult to say because you're a child, you're a teenager, and so you see your parents doing certain things, and that's just what parents do. You don't think about it, you don't question it. He was doing the High Commission thing, he was doing the studying, and he was being a family man as well. And he just obviously somehow made it work.
Indeed.
One of the things that was part of the reason why he was asked to go to be High Commissioner in England was because he was well known within the community there.
Yeah.
He was also well known among the wider English community because of the athletics, because people were still alive who remembered him. And as I said, in those days, athletics was an event that people would go to. Yeah. You didn't just watch it on TV, you would go. And so there were people who had been younger people in 48 who remembered him. And I personally had an experience in Toronto where I was on a board, and on the board was a man who was a Indian, like South Asian, but from London, from England. So I said to him, he was older than me, and I said, were you living in England during 1948 and 52? He said, yes. So you're of an age that you might have remembered who my father was. And he looks at me because he knew what my name was. He knew the name Wint. He said, Wint? You're Arthur Wint's daughter? He remembered him,
Yeah. And also while we were there, when he was High Commissioner, he was invited to a track meet. I don't know if he was invited or he just heard about it, and we went, and we were sitting in the stands, and somebody spotted him and made a big announcement in the stadium. I think it might have been a schoolboy thing, I don't even know. And he asked, called him out on the microphone and wanted him to come and give out some prizes. And I remember Daddy didn't bother to walk all the way around to the thing. He just walked up to the fence, stepped over it, because he had long legs, stepped over it and walked onto the field. And, there was this grand applause, which was, to me, again, you're growing up, he's just Daddy. And all of this is just, a lot of fufa. But, it felt good. to hear the applause and they acknowledging him, even though he had stopped running for such a long time.
Yeah.
Your father, um, he gave back to community.
He did.
I have a friend, she's on the live just now. She's telling the story, and she told me this story before that while she was going to Dintil Technical High School, your father had his practice in Linstead, and she said she got an assignment, a PE assignment, physical education assignment, where you're supposed to name some exercises and you're supposed to name the muscles that the exercises engage. She's on the live, Marlene Green. And she said she didn't have a clue what to do. And she said she walked into Dr. Wint's office and as a schoolgirl and she asked for him. She said, I would like to speak to Dr. Wint. And your father came out and she explained the assignment to him and he helped her
Okay.
to do that
Wow.
assignment.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's just awesome. That
He
is
also, there was also another student, I think, also at Dintil, who, and maybe his mother had been a patient, and she must have been, complaining that, it was difficult for her son to get to and from school for transport. And it was after that it passed, with, sorting out his things, and we found this photograph, and I said to mommy, who is this fellow? And she said, oh, that's that student from Dintil that your father helped over the years, with transport to school. We never knew.
Yeah.
He just did it. And apparently he went on to do medicine.
Oh, great.
oh wow.
That's
Yeah.
a great
These are
story.
the stories that I love to hear. These are the stories that I love to hear. And my thing is, you can adapt. I have a campaign that I'm working on. It is about adopting an athlete. And that what your father did, adopting an athlete, you don't have to put millions of dollars in them pocket. But that what he did by getting him to and from school, it is a big deal.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
yes, it
You
was.
can help them with transportation, you can help them with food, whatever little you can give. And you heard what you just said? That child moved on to do medicine.
Medicine.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a great story. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Great story.
We never knew.
yeah.
These are things that he did. I'm sure there are other things and other people he helped that we have no clue about. He just did what he had to do if he could, and wasn't making a big hoo-ha about it. Just get it done and help where you can. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Um,
I'm getting chills, and this is why I like these stories, and this is why I decided to do this because I want people to know about our athletes and know about their legacy on and off the track. Because this story that you're giving us, we did not know, we didn't have a clue that this man, your father, he was all of this, and to be doing these things simultaneously, it takes a special person. It
Yeah.
takes a special person. But your father being an ambassador and stuff, you guys had to travel with him. You had to.
Well, he was in England. He was High Commissioner to England, and then he was ambassador. I think it was to Sweden and Denmark.
yes.
So he went there once or twice, and so on. But basically, he was based in London. Alison and I finished high school there. Um, it was an opportunity for us, to be there because remember before he'd been living in Lucy and we'd been living in Kingston. And so now, Valerie was away at university, but for Alison and I, it was an opportunity for us to be together as a family. And every now and again, he'd have to go to big functions. He wasn't too much into the big functions. He would
Suit
talk
and
about,
tie.
oh,
No,
Lord,
not just the suit and tie.
the top
The
hat.
top hat.
So he's 6'5", and he had on various occasions you had to wear tails and top hat,
What's that? What's its top hat?
It's one of those tall hats.
like in Doctor.
Oh, okay.
He
Excuse
called
me.
it his monkey
I don't know
suit.
if I have a picture of him.
He
Oh,
called it
he had to wear the suit with the that
with
that
the
long
tails, the
the
tails.
tails. Oh
Yes,
wow. Very
Yes. I
distinguished.
don't have a
Yeah.
picture here.
But he,
Wow.
so there were some of the, the very posh things that he had to go to. But
Oh
Hmm.
then,
yes, here. I don't know if you can see it.
oh,
Let's see.
your fingers over.
He's holding the hat in his hand.
Oh, that's the hat. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
wow. That's your mom right there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, wow. Very, very,
She has on a feathered hat as well, I think it is. Yeah.
wow. Interesting. In
But
those,
he loved to go to the communities.
Yes.
That's really where his heart was. Going
very
to the
down to
communities,
earth.
talking to the Jamaicans who are there, hearing what's going on and so on. That's really the part of it that he loved and really wanted to do more of, I suppose. But the functions and the events were part of the deal. So
I think one of the legacies of our father was that he he did not rely on his celebrity as an athlete. He realized that that was not going to carry him through his life. It was not going to put food on the table. He had to do something else. He That's why he became a doctor. That's why he became a surgeon. Um, and bear in mind that he started fairly late in life, because most people are starting their university career at 18, 19, or 19,
Hmm.
and he was like 27, 28.
it was late.
Yeah, he was 31 when I was born, and he was already a medical student.
Yeah.
He was a medical student,
Yeah, not graduated.
not graduated yet.
But even though he started that late, he became well accomplished. He
Yes,
accomplished a lot.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
and he kept learning. It
Yeah.
wasn't, as I
He
said,
wasn't lazy. He wasn't
he
lazy.
wasn't lazy.
He was not lazy. He may have been lazy with his trading, but he was not a lazy man.
Well, if he was lazy and busy winning gold medal and stuff, I don't want to see what would have happened if he had taken it more seriously. But
Yeah.
his legacy, I can tell you, as a Jamaican, and not just as a Jamaican, as a track and field athlete globally, his legacy is unmatched.
Yes.
Yes, we agree, and it's, as you talk about track and field in Jamaica and so on. There, I think for a lot of people, history is very short. Has a very short time span.
Mhm.
So there are those who know about Shelly Ann and Usain, and then there'll be those who remember Merlin Ottey and Bailey. And
Because we're not educating people about the legacy. We are not doing that. For a lot of people, the legacy start at the 21st century.
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Because we're a very young country.
Yes. And
yeah,
we're not realizing that this started. A matter of fact, your father has accomplished something that to this day no other athlete has accomplished.
Hmm.
And we are yet to win a 800-meter medal at the Olympic Games since 1948 until 1952.
that's a bee in your bonnet, Heather. I'm gonna get that 800.
We
Yes.
need to get it, and it's something I am working on. My foundation is trying to work, but we need to get back to the middle. And I keep reminding people, I keep saying, look, our first Olympic medal was a 800-meter medal
Yes.
by Dr. Arthur Wint. I preach it every time I have my program. I preach it. I preach it. I said, look, the 800 was where we started. The 400 was where we started, not the sprints.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
So we are neglecting where we started.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not paying the attention that we need to pay to where we started. And we need to, because, you
I'll
know,
tell you, I am happy to see, however, that we're starting to send some field athletes
yes,
Yes.
to the
yes,
Olympics,
yes.
Who are doing well.
and who are doing well. So
Indeed,
that
indeed, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. We're really spreading a little bit now from just the sprints. We're really getting into other things. And this is
and for
why,
the longer distances as well, the
Yeah.
yes. And
1500s, the 5,000s, the 10,000s.
And this is why I'm lobbying for the middle and long distance to
Long
come
distance.
back. And every opportunity I get, I remind them of the double silver medal by Dr. Arthur Wint. Your father, the first Olympic champion for Jamaica, the first Olympic medalist for Jamaica. As his children, how do you guys feel when you hear about your father's legacy, when you read about it?
Oh,
Oh,
proud.
well, we feel proud. I mean, as a child, it was annoying actually for me. Um, as a child, and I don't think so much now, but as a child, I looked very much like Daddy. And I remember when he was High Commissioner, Alison and I were shopping one day in London, and this man just came up and stopped right in front of me, and he said, "You must be Arthur Wint's daughter."
Really?
Yeah, stopped me in the middle of Oxford Street, and but people used to make much of his athletics and so on, and we didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It was
it's a
late. It was
big
late.
deal.
It was later on that we started to.
Yes.
Oh, it was a big
It
deal.
was a big
It,
deal.
yeah.
Now, people used to ask him the fact that he had three daughters
Did
and,
you
and no sons.
did you want us to
Did
be
he want us to be
athletes?
athletes? He said no. He said
That
he was,
that's a question I have on my paper. Did he want you guys to?
no,
No,
no. I mean,
no. He didn't. He
No?
wasn't. He no, not particularly. If we wanted to, he wasn't particularly pushing Alison to become a doctor. He said, if you don't feel like you can become a doctor, you want to do the sciences. There's something else you can do, but don't feel that you have to do it because I was. Don't feel you have to go to St. Bartholomew's because I went there. But she wanted to, and she pursued
and
medicine.
and the thing people would say to me, well, your father was an athlete and you've got long legs. Why
And
aren't
you
why?
got long legs. You
So
guys are tall.
I would say to them, I have two parents, and my mother was not an athlete. I tried out for when I was 13. I tried out for the team at school, and the coach, of course, who knew who Daddy was, said I was too long and mager and uncoordinated, and that was the end of running for me
That's
until
not cool.
until I was 50.
That's not cool that the coach
It's
No,
not.
not
It's
cool
not.
at all.
And
not
I have
cool.
a beef with some of the coaches. Maybe they're different now, but when my children were young, and they have the prep school sports day and champs because they get to go to the stadium as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
they need to be more appreciative of the child development stages and understand you can't set up a child thinking that they're going to run a race and then pull them back and say, okay, no, John's going to run instead. Those aren't things that's not cool. That's not cool.
Yeah, that coach put me off completely.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of high jump, but not very well. And like
Yes.
I said, I did not run until I was 50,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I still
Some
run.
coaches, I agree. Some coaches can be very savage, very brutal, not realizing
Because all
that,
they're thinking about is winning.
Is the win.
yeah, they don't realize that their negative words can sometimes, put
Yes.
you off and throw you off your game.
Now, there was another Wint. I'm going to tell you about another Wint. Our cousin Elaine. She was the one who was the athlete at school. Some of
Elaine
you know,
Wint.
some of you know Elaine.
Elaine Wint.
Yeah.
You'll probably know her through media mostly.
Yeah.
Is that she was the news anchor at JBC?
Yeah, that's Elaine.
Yes,
Her
yes.
cousin.
Is it Elaine or Ellen Wint?
Elaine.
Elaine.
There's an Eleanor Wint who is
Okay.
also a cousin.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I know
She's
Elaine
more in the
Wint.
social sector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was an anchor for news. I'm a 70s baby, so I know some of these things. So yes, I do. But this is just remarkable. But next, I want you guys to talk about your book each. I don't know who want to start, but the both of you wrote books about your father's legacy, and I'm getting snippets. I don't buy the books as yet because I just heard about them, but I like what I'm hearing and the information and the data that is there. I like it. Okay, yes, I have that one on my paper. But before we talk about your books, let us just read some more comments. Marlene Green is saying, I am so happy I had the opportunity to meet the great Dr. Wint, the first Olympic medalist for Jamaica, and the only 800 meter, to date, the only 800-meter medalist. Caroni Gregory saying GC Foster College is present. Welcome, Mr. Gregory. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We were just talking about Mr. GC Foster. Good evening to you. Back to you, ladies. Now, each of you wrote a book, and yes, the
You go
books
first.
doing
Okay.
the books doing things. I love the initiative. And what I want to do is, I want you guys to tell us a little bit about your book each. Don't give away a lot because I want people to go and get the books, buy the books, and
So do
read.
Yes,
I.
yes.
So do we.
And
That
guys,
helps.
and before I go any further, guys, my birthday was Monday and I collect these books.
Okay.
Hint, hint,
Hint,
hint,
hint.
hint. I
Another
collect
another
these
Scorpio.
books.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a Scorpio. I
Mhm.
collect these books. I collect these books. So who wants to go first and tell
I'm
us a
going
little bit?
first.
Valerie will go first.
Okay, go
Valerie,
ahead, Valerie. Go
Valerie, the
ahead.
fellow Scorpio, will go first.
Go ahead, my dear
So
Scorpio.
mine is called The Longer Run: A Daughter's Story of Arthur Wint. And so it looks at a lot of what we talked about tonight about him and his life. But I couch it in, or I place it within the context of what was happening in the world at the time. So there's quite a bit of history in here. There's things, for instance, I don't know how many of you knew that during the war, the university, where the university, I'm pointing there because that's where it
That's
is up
where the
there.
university is.
The university property, that the current university property, was a camp for displaced people
Refugees.
from Europe. There was also a POW camp at Up Park Camp in Kingston here. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't know those things.
I did not. I'm
Yeah,
learning. I'm learning from you guys. Thank
so
you.
the book will have some of that information in it.
Mhm.
Um, but it's my point of view. Um, uh, I never, like Colleen said, he was just daddy. He was
Who's daddy?
he was daddy.
That was it. Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of time alone with him because he was away a lot. In fact, it's because of him that I decided I was not ever going to be a doctor or marry a doctor. um, but there were a couple of times when I had the opportunity to just be with him, just the two of us, and had some great experiences. So yeah, the book is called The Longer Run: A Daughter's Story of Arthur Wint, and you'll see there's a kind of a montage of pictures on the cover
Mhm.
um, that my son put together for me,
Awesome.
um, and it is available on Amazon.
Okay, guys, please go out and get your book. But Valerie, before we move on to Colleen. What was the motivation that led to you writing this book? What motivated you?
The same motivation you have. The story has to be told. People
Yes.
cannot forget
Yeah.
that this is where we came from.
Yeah.
These current athletes are standing on the shoulders of the people who came before them.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to acknowledge those people. All those
Indeed.
kids coming up through champs now, they need to know it's
Yeah.
not just Usain and Shelly Ann.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
Safa.
Totally agree with you. We need to have more discussion to put them out there, and that is what this program is about. And before we move to Colleen, Karoni Gregory from GC Foster, he's saying
She.
he or she, sorry, she's saying GC Foster College offered an Arthur Wint centenary
Scholarship.
scholarship
That's
Yes.
right.
as part of the Dr. Wint legacy. So
Yes.
she is benefit. She's also saying GC Foster College is now benefiting from Arthur Wint's legacy. And I like how she put that because Jamaica is benefiting from Dr. Arthur Wint's legacy. We're all benefiting. As a country, we're benefiting, and different areas of Jamaica benefit. Our athletes now are benefiting from his legacy. Thank you very much for
And
sharing that, Miss Gregory.
just to add, so the first scholar, his name was Delon. That was all in during COVID. Um, he completed his studies, and he's now working, I believe, in health, in terms of health, fitness, and so on. So we were very proud of him as the first scholar,
Mhm.
and that he continues to do well. And I believe that another scholarship is in the offing at GC Foster.
Indeed, GC Foster, special good night to GC Foster, special good night to that university there. Now we will hear
So
from.
before you move to Colleen's book, I
Okay.
just want to add something that you have not mentioned, but I want to bring up, is that he was my father was one of the first, was one of the founding, let me start again.
Okay.
One of the founders of the Sports
Sports
Medicine
medicine.
Association, which is also helping athletes
Athletes.
at all the track meets.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He
I'm
was
going to be
president.
honest with you. I didn't know
He
that.
was president for a while, and I think they sort of made him president for life, kind of thing. But he that was another aspect that he was very, very involved in.
Wow.
Particularly when he came back, when he was living in Linstead, he was very involved with the Sports Medicine Association.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
awesome, awesome, awesome,
yeah, yeah.
awesome, guys, the legacy of Dr. Arthur Wint. Now we're going to hear from his other daughter,
The baby.
the baby on her book.
So this is called Arthur Loves to Run, and the motivation for writing this. So this was sort of born of an experience also during COVID in 2021. My grandson was about to be born in the States, and I was there for the birth. And one of my son's friends had asked me if I would go online, and it was Black History Month, and they wanted me to talk about my father. So I did a little PowerPoint, pulled some things together, and did that. And so coming out of that, and talking with my son as well, we were saying, it really is important for some of these younger children to really kind of understand and know about Arthur Wint. And I wanted to do it for my grandson. So it is dedicated to my grandson. So it's Arthur Loves to Run, and this is really the story of him as a child loving to run, going to going to the school champs, and then going to the Olympics. The mishap
The Olympic
in the
Games.
relay, and then
Mhm.
there are little things like how the relay is run, and how the baton is passed and goes from
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4. So there some little academic things thrown in there as well. But so it really is for younger children, and
I
having
still need a copy.
yes, I get the hint, Heather. But it's interesting when sharing it with some of the school children. So after I launched it, I went to the Manchester Parish Library, and some of the students from Plowden Primary and another primary school came, and we had little crossword puzzles and things, and we showed them the actual video of him winning the race and also falling in the
The
in the
relay.
relay. And
Mhm.
so they were so amazed that it wasn't just a story, but here's the real thing. And then they were all busily showing off that they knew how to pass the baton, and they got up to
Mhm.
show off how they do the baton, and so on.
We know
So
this from basic school there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So so it's really for younger children, and I'm very proud of the illustrator who is also from that side of the world. His name is Patrick Meikle.
Mhm.
um, and so this is the first in a series of three, actually, because I'm hoping before the end of this year to publish Arthur Loves to Fly. So also
Wow.
of
I
him as
love that title. I love
being a
that
pilot.
title. Yeah.
So it's for the younger children, so you can get to talk and ask them about things. And
Hmm.
the 7 and 8 year olds, they bombard you with all kinds of things.
We should try. Hear me talking about we. You should try and get it in into the schools in Jamaica. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's
you
that's
should
the
try.
effort, it's the challenge
Yeah,
with the ministry. But yeah,
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 yeah.
you should really try. It makes for a very good read at such a young age. Give them an idea, of
Yes.
who, you should.
I have a friend who, she's retired now, but she was an English teacher in Toronto. And for 3 years running, she had me come, high school, she had me come to her grade 10 class. And she got a, she persuaded her school to buy a school set, a class set of the books.
Hmm.
And so they read the book. Well, let's say some of them read the book,
Yeah.
but she gave them assignments. Like one of
Yes.
them, the assignments was
Yes.
create a front page of the newspaper of the day they won the 400-meter relay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
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 yes,
Yeah.
yes. Another colleague, a friend in Florida, they bought this book for him, and he had a book project, and so he did it, and he created his own little medals, and
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
did his own little thing, and he did very well. He got a good grade for it. So that
These
was that was a good feel.
Yeah, these books though should be in Calabar's library and Excelsior. Those two schools should have these books. But that's just awesome. But
Yeah.
before we go any further, Marlene Green is saying, of course, she's showing off that she met Dr. Arthur Wint and showing off on the rest of us who haven't met him. But she's saying, thanks for sharing all this interesting story about your father with us. Thank you. Dorothy Scott Genius, formerly a very technical Olympian herself, is saying, HP, that is why we appreciate what you're doing and educating everyone about our strong, deep legacy of track and field. Thank you very much for that. Sir Scott is saying, good night, Mrs. Wint Bond. Dr. Arthur Wint, Centennial Scholarship recipient here, Delana Scott. Wow. Welcome, Mr.
Oh, good.
Scott.
Nice, nice.
Wow.
Hi.
Yes, he's here sharing with us tonight. Welcome, Delano. Wow. I mean, it's not my father, and I feel good. I feel awesome. Coroni McGregor is saying our sports museum at GC Foster will have special displays of his memorabilia and more, including books about his legacy. This is what I love to hear because I am one of those track fans who is still hurt because that we don't have a track and field museum in Jamaica, because I think we have enough to have a museum for track and field alone.
Well,
Your
You
do
know,
something about it.
your foundation needs.
no, let me tell you, I'm glad you say to do something about it because I have a proposal
Well, there
to
you go.
do one. It's just that I don't have the funding, but I would love to see us have a track and field museum in Jamaica where schools can come for field trips, learn about our athletes from as far back as Mr. GC Foster. We need that. I think we can do it as a country. We have one of the richest legacy in track and field. We are number 2 in the world.
With little but with Talawa.
That's
We're
right.
little, but with Talawa, we
Very
are
thorough.
number 2. We are number 2 in the world in track and field. We can do it. We can do it, and we need to. There's so much that we have to show off to the world. Make it a tourist attraction. People come in and they want to visit the Jamaica Track and Field Museum.
It would earn back its money very quickly.
It would earn back the money in no time. That is why I want to do it. So please pray for me that some money will drop into my lap
We will.
and I can get it done. But it is so good to see the recipient,
I am glad
Sir
he's here.
Scott. Yes,
Yes,
indeed,
excellent.
indeed, indeed, indeed.
Very proud of him.
Yes, indeed. He's saying, I am truly grateful for everything this scholarship has done for me, and I'm extremely happy that someone else will benefit in the near future. Dr. Arthur Wint's legacy will live on. Awesome.
Great. Okay.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome, 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 awesome. Now, where can people find these books on Amazon, right?
Amazon,
On
yes.
Amazon, yes, and locally, well, mine is available at I think it's called Cozy Corner for kids. It's off North Avenue,
Okay.
and um, I think my Jamaica has maybe a few copies left. Um,
I'm
but so there are a few copies that you can buy locally, but you
Mhm.
can get them on Amazon.
I'm not
Okay.
sure where mine is. The airport, the airport
Oh, and the airport.
bookstore
Yes.
has it.
Yes.
Sangsters used to have it. I don't know if they still do, but it's published here in Jamaica by
Okay.
Ian Randall Publishers. So um,
You can order
you
it.
can order it through them as well. But Amazon or through the publishing company.
Yeah. I forgot about the
Guys,
airport. Yeah.
Yeah.
The airport.
Guys, you need to go out and get this book. Please go out and get both copies. I intend to get both copies. Also, I want to welcome Cavaliers Football Club
Oh,
is here with us. I mean, football is in the mix of track and
why
field.
not?
I
Why not?
love it. I love it. One Jamaica, at the end of the day,
That's right.
one Jamaica. Diamond is also here. She's saying the museum is long overdue. Um,
Agreed.
I, I totally agree with you, Diamond. We need it. Monica Lewis, welcome, welcome. She's asking if there is a statue of Dr. Arthur Wint.
There is a statue that is supposed to be, it's called the Athlete. It's the statue that's outside the stadium. And the first one, because there are now other ones, but
Mm-hmm.
the one that's outside the stadium um, is called the Athlete. And it is supposed to be a composite of Herb and Arthur.
What is it?
Okay.
Well,
It's a composite
it's a composite, but it is based off a picture
of Daddy
of
Anna.
Daddy.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, so when you go in the stadium, is that the first? Let me see. Oh, that one.
Yes.
Okay, 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 okay.
It's over there.
Okay, because we have quite a few there now. Mr. Donald Corey is there,
Yes.
Marlene is
Merlin.
there,
Mm-hmm.
Veronica Shelley, Usain Asafa, quite a
Mhm.
few. The next time I
That was
go,
the first one.
That's all. No have space.
Yes, so there is a statue of his body.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I mean, most people think or call it the Arthur Wint statue because it's on Arthur Wint Road,
Anthony Drive.
Arthur Wint Drive. But it, as Valerie said, it's supposed to be a composite of the I think
Before.
the four.
Of the four of them. Okay, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome stuff. And of course, that road leading up to is Arthur Wint Drive.
Arthur Wint Drive. Why did I
Yes.
say that?
Yes, close to the
There's a
stadium. It's
There's a Wint Road in Mandeville.
There's a
yeah.
Wint Road in Mandeville for sure.
Okay, Arthur Wint Drive and stuff. So yes, Monica, there is a statue, but the statue is a composition of all four, the dream team back in 1948 and 1952. And for you young people who don't know, I'm talking about Mr. Arthur Wint, Dr. Arthur Wint, Mr. Les Ling, George Roden, and Mr. Herb McKinley. All four are Olympic champion, Olympic pioneers. They are indeed. Ladies, we're in October. October is almost finished. We are having
Today.
we're having yeah, it's finished almost midnight when it finished, but we're having this interview in the month of the anniversary of your dad's passing in
Yes.
1992. You know, we're doing this interview. I didn't even plan it like that, but we that's where we
And
are.
and
Explain.
it happened to be
National Heroes
the
Day.
day that he died was National Heroes Day that year.
October 19th.
It was a
Yes,
Monday.
Yeah.
It's
yes,
Heroes Day.
indeed. Explain your emotions as we reflect on the great achievement of this man who you call father. I know it might be a little emotional, but it's okay.
No.
Mhm.
All right. Let me give you a story. I mentioned it in the book actually, but it's my personal story. This one. So I mentioned earlier that I didn't start running until I was 50. I started. I joined a club in Toronto, which is where I live, in February of all times, and started learning how to run. And in October, in fact, October 31st, that same year, I did a marathon, my first and only marathon.
Wow.
Took
At
me
age
six,
50.
took me 6.5 hours to do it.
Awesome
Anyway,
stuff.
so I was running one day by myself. I don't know if you've ever been to Toronto, but there's a lot of ravines with that have trails through them. So near where I was living, there was a trail, and I was running on the trail. And this man was running towards me, and we said hello, and I heard the Jamaican accent. So I said, "Oh, you're from Jamaica?" And I said, "Yeah, me too." And we start to talk and about running, and I said, again, you're of an age where you would have remembered who Arthur Wint was. And he said, yes, of course I know who Arthur Wint was. Well, I said, I'm his daughter. You're his daughter? And he hugged me up, and we talked about being from Jamaica and running.
Royalty.
And then we went our separate ways.
And
Royalty.
that's the thing, in when did he die? Whenever they had in the first time I said I went to Plowden, they had a fun day. So they'd been planning all these, putting up some signs, the road where he grew up, a little, plaque here and various things, and they unveiled them. But they also had this sort of fun day. And we went there, and so it was in his honor, and they had a couple of events. Football was going on, and it was really nice. You sort of think, old time country fun day. Little cotton candy, the girls walking around holding hands, and it was really nice. And this gentleman, older man, walked in. They were kind of, keeping us inside where it was cooler rather than out in the hot sun. And he came to me with this big paper bag, and he took it out, and he had made an aeroplane out of, I think it was maho. He had made this aeroplane, and in the aeroplane was Arthur Wint, and he wanted to
Wow.
present this to me
Wow.
completely out of the blue. I mean, the whole day was just sort of surreal, because people were just so, almost like they were honored to be. And I'm like, it's not me, I'm only the child, I didn't do any of this.
Mm-hmm.
But that we were there, they were honoring him, and that his family was there, and that is so special. That this older gentleman out in the country, never heard of him, he made this little aeroplane and kept it to present to
Wow.
us. Of course, you got the big basket of products
Mm-hmm.
and everything and so on. But it was, so it's
People being
being proud of
appreciative.
people appreciating him
Yeah.
and recognizing him and honoring what he has done.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is very, very definitely special.
Indeed. And he has done a lot. And you guys are also a part of his legacy, you know.
I guess we are. I guess we are.
Yes, a big part of his legacy. The track and field meet, Calabar track and field meet, McKinley Wint.
Yes.
McKinley Wint. Those two names. When you think of track and field, those two names comes to mind automatically.
Yeah.
In his honor, two of Jamaica's greats.
Yeah.
Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that when you guys got that call or got that letter that, hey, we want to name this meat after your dad. Do you approve?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was a no-brainer.
yeah,
That was a no-brainer. Of course, yeah, of course you feel proud, and you want to be there, and again, it's also honoring their legacy, you know. So definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah,
I love it. I love it. Jamaica track and field legacy started with your father, 19. We started as far back as 1908, 1930s, but of course, things was well cemented 1948 coming
yeah.
forward and thing. Based on your father's love for Jamaica track and field, how would he want us to sustain and maintain this legacy and build generation after generation?
I think definitely he always loved children. He had there's a basic school named after him in Lucy, Salvation Army Arthur Wint Basic School, and
Wow.
yeah, and he, so in terms of like nutrition and the training and so on, I think those are things that he would want to see for children, for young athletes, because we do start our athletics young. There's
Yes, we do.
there's a reason why we're number two,
Yeah.
and so to make sure, and that he was part of the sports medicine, so the two things that he loved. I think that's an area that he would definitely want to see strengthened, and as you say, not having to have athletes struggle to
Yeah.
get to training, or find the wherewithal to get to overseas meets, and because that's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
Training is one thing, but you have to have the experience of running against others who are better than you, of
Of
losing,
losing.
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get up and do it again, get up and do it again, the
That's
next
right.
day.
That's right. And
Indeed.
and at the same time, running is not going to sustain you, so you have to do something else.
Think
Think
about
about
what
your
else.
future,
Yeah,
because you know by the
It
time you're
can,
30,
especially in these days,
yes,
it depends on your level anyway. It depends on your level.
yes, but still,
your body your
your
body
your
your
body,
body your body
Yes.
starts to say that's enough.
that's enough. The
Yeah.
knees start to give the
Everything
yeah,
start to
And
go. Every
you
yeah.
need to
Not at that
have a plan B.
elite
true.
level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed. What a legacy. What a legacy. Before we go any further, Monica Lewis is saying, I don't go to champs. That was a reason why I did not know about the statue. Monica Lewis, don't let anybody hear you say you don't go to champs. Please. Champs is the place.
That's the makeup.
Dorothy Scott is saying, I remember Dr. Wynn telling me after running a 400 meter at the stadium that he saw that I had finally found my event. One
Oh.
thing with those two men, Dr. Arthur Wint and Mr. McKinley, they had an eye for talent.
Mm.
Yes, they knew where the talent lies in a young athlete. They could tell if the 400 is a better event or the 200. Just awesome. But ladies, what a legacy. And we're winding down now. But I have some random questions that I just want to ask you guys. What is your father's nickname? I saw two nicknames.
What?
At school,
Bump,
he was called Bumpy.
bumpy.
Yes, I have Bumpy, and there's another one.
Oh, what's the other one?
I don't know.
I don't know. Tell us.
The other nickname that I saw on a profile is the Gentle
Oh, the
Giant.
gentle
Oh,
giant.
the Gentle Giant.
I
Yes,
love
Yes.
that
yes,
one.
yes.
I love
Yeah.
that one.
And he
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
he was a big, tall man, but he was very gentle. He was very loving. He loved to,
Mhm.
we have a picture of him, um, playing hide and seek with young relatives, bending down under the bougainvillea to hide, or
And
dancing with mommy, or just
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
doing the twist.
doing the twist right down on the ground.
Yes.
Well, excuse me.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
He loved to dance.
Wow. So he lived. He lived. He
Did.
lived.
He
He
did.
lived.
He did.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
lived a full life.
my mother's father had a problem with one of his legs. He had to have
Elevated shoe.
had to have special shoe made for this leg. So he didn't dance very much, but he loved to watch my mother and father dance together.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. This next question is a true or false question.
It's a test.
Yes, it's a test. Your father ran the third leg of the 1948 4x4 relay team. True or false?
The third leg,
The
48.
third leg, 1948, when he pulled
That's
up.
true.
True, that is true. That is true. Ladies,
Hey.
Dr. Arthur Wint is Jamaica's first Olympic gold medalist. He is also Jamaica's first and only 800-meter medalist, not once, but twice. When he talked about his accomplishments on the track, which of his victory was he was most fond of?
I think the Helsinki one, the 4x400.
The 4x4 over his individual gold medal?
Redemption.
Yes,
Redemption.
yes. And he also told me that Prince Philip came to see them in the dressing room, and when they were celebrating afterwards, and he had a toothbrush tumbler of rum with them.
That was the only container they could find.
That was the only container they could find, so they put some rum in it for him.
Wow, interesting. Man, this story and the things that we did not know. Your father wasn't just an athlete, he was a human.
He was, yeah.
He loved people. The whole works. Awesome, awesome. How many Olympic medals are there in your father's medal cabinet?
We don't have a medal cabinet.
we have a safety deposit box.
How many medals? How many Olympic medals?
At least two. There's definitely the gold.
That's the gold.
There should be 2 golds.
Yeah, silver. The
4
and the 8.
Yeah.
2
4.
4. Yeah.
4 is correct. The 400-meter gold, the 4x400-meter gold, and the 2 silver from the 800.
Tell me something. Was your distance 800 meters by any means?
No, actually, I was 200 in my time. I love the curve. I love the curve. Yes, the 200 was my event.
I do want to say before you finish our test, just to acknowledge all the people who are on the call and all these former Olympians and so on. Some I know, some I don't know. But we really do appreciate you being here and
adding to this,
adding to the story, because as I said, there are many people that Daddy knew did things for, and we have no clue.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate them, everybody on the call being here.
Indeed. Thank you guys for being here also. Which leg of the 4x400 meter relay that won gold in record time did your father run 1952? Which leg of the 1952 first leg is
first
fine?
Leg.
Yeah, that's correct. What was the format of the relay that won gold for Jamaica? What was the format? As in, who ran where? I gave you guys 2 legs. So let's start at
for which one? 48 or 52?
52.
Oh.
Arthur.
Yes.
Lang.
Mm-hmm.
McKinley.
Yeah.
Roden.
Brilliant. That is correct. I love to ask this question because your dad was born in Manchester. Of course, he moved to St. Mary and other places. Which parish should claim your father as their Olympian? Which parish should
all
claim
of them?
All of them.
No, you have to name Manchester. Yeah.
Manchester.
I agree with that one. Was your father strict? Was he a strict father?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so.
He did not suffer fools gladly, though.
No, he didn't. Don't mess with him.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he would defend you. He'd have your back if things were rough. But I wouldn't say he was
support, loyalty. That's
definitely.
Yeah,
awesome.
oh yes, for sure.
That's awesome. My next question was going to ask if your dad wanted you guys to do track, but you had said it earlier that he wasn't the type of parents to say, you have to do it, you have to carry on my
No.
legacy.
No, and he said he was glad that in a sense, he was glad he didn't have a son because
That would be the
the son would
expectation.
be expected to.
Yeah.
Yes, he would have gone through a lot of pressure
Yeah.
to.
My son's middle name is Arthur. And I remember when he was born, right? Daddy said, "Why you want to go and burden the boy with my name?"
Mhm.
So I said, "It's not a burden; it's an honor."
And my
Yeah.
grandson his middle name is Arthur,
Arthur as well.
and he was an athlete. My grandson was an athlete, but COVID screwed him up. So,
Yes, COVID changed a lot of
Yeah.
things. But who else to model than your grandfather?
yeah.
Who is this great man? I would want him to be my role model too. He
Mhm.
would have been my idol. What was your father's favorite food?
Hmm. I know he liked Chinese food, and he
Yes.
did like seafood, but he couldn't eat shellfish. After a while, he was allergic.
Remember the story I said about catching Janga?
Mm-hmm.
That was when he
Oh,
was a young man, but he
uh-huh.
developed this allergy to shellfish. As quite a few people do get this allergy as they get older, so he couldn't eat shellfish anymore. But he loved it.
He loved it, and
He liked Chinese pepper
food.
steak.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Go, Dr. Wint.
And he liked
Your-
mommy's cooking.
He liked mommy's cooking.
Of course. Of course. He had no choice. Your father was a diplomat. Were you guys under any pressure to behave a certain way? Was there any pressure?
Not me, because I wasn't in that.
I guess if there was some particular function, I didn't go to many functions with him. The middle sister Allison, she was older, so she went to some one or two functions, and but we were brought up properly. We know how to behave.
Yeah,
That's
I brought
right.
up
That is
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Did he, oh, you said your father loved to dance. Did he have a favorite genre of music or a favorite song?
Hmm.
um to dream the impossible dream.
Impossible dream.
Wow. Awesome.
Yes, he sang
Awesome.
on a choir. He sang on the Lucy choir.
He formed the Lucy Choir.
There you go. You think he
Well,
was sitting
well,
down just
well.
watching it?
Yes.
So many surprises with Dr. Wint.
I remember when he first went to Linstead, the house they were living in at the time. We would have events, we'd have
Little concerts.
well, no, we would have people over for the day, and
Okay.
and then when everybody would leave, it was just the family left there, and we would sit outside on the veranda, and we would sing. We would sing every Beatles song we could think of.
Yeah.
And then we pulled out the high school hymn book and we'd start singing hymns. And my mother was a very good singer as well, and this one is an excellent singer.
Wow. She will have to
Yeah.
sing something for us before we go.
Oh no,
Please,
no.
What was his favorite thing to do when he wasn't doing track and field business?
To sit outside with his
beer.
with his beer.
He would
Awesome.
like just sit and reflect and think and
Unwind.
yeah.
Unwind, but also used to drive mommy crazy because why are you just sitting out here doing nothing? I'm not doing nothing. I'm thinking about the surgery I have to do tomorrow.
Okay.
Again, the visualization.
Yes, visualization. Visualization. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Which track and field event was his favorite? I think I know which one it is, but of the 4 and the 8, which one was his favorite?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because we weren't around. You have to remember that we did not grow up with him
We weren't
running.
born yet.
By the time, well, I was a baby.
By the time you were born and think he practically retired.
He was a doctor.
He was a doctor.
Yeah, he was
And
retired.
he was not running at all. So
he didn't tell you guys if he preferred the 4 or the 8?
no,
He liked to watch cricket. He would yes, he watches cricket
and football.
Nice.
and football. Thank you, Manchester United. And he would we lived in
He's a Man U fan?
Yes, there was no city at the time. So Manu.
Man,
So he liked
you.
his cricket. He liked his and he would watch all, if the Olympics was on or Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
He would watch all of it. He would watch all of it.
All of it.
He liked all of the events.
So he was very close to the World Cup then, football World Cup.
He would watch that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we watch that.
I remember
Wait,
when he was when he was in his last days, and I came down from Canada, went straight to the hospital where he was, and he couldn't talk to me because he was listening to the Canada Jamaica football game on the radio.
of course.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that
He,
is
he, he enjoyed he enjoyed
All
sports.
sports.
He enjoyed all sports.
awesome,
Tennis.
awesome.
He taught me to play tennis.
Man, is there anything Dr. Wint cannot do? Wow, he is indeed special. Ladies, you have done a wonderful job in sharing your dad with us. I mean, his journey from Manchester to St. Mary to all over Jamaica to England to Japan to
All
Canada,
over
back
the
to
world.
Jamaica, all over the world you have done. His legacy on and off the track is it is just unmatched. That's the only word I can find to describe it. Unmatched, admirable, and unmatched. Colleen and Valerie, Valerie and Colleen, is there anything about your father that I did not touch that you would
Probably.
want fans to know,
Probably lots of things.
especially about his track and field legacy?
No, I mean
Well,
there are probably people who know more than us about some of his.
yes, and
know.
and remember, so a couple of things to remember. One is with regards to Herb. Herb went to university in the United States, so
Yes.
he came back to Jamaica from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Once my father left in 41, 42, he did not come back to Jamaica until like 56. No, maybe not 56.
He came back and went back to England, I think.
Like about he came back
In the
after
50s.
he came back after the Helsinki thing, Olympics.
I guess in those days when they were picking the team like for the Olympics and so forth, you never had to come to a trials. I guess they would. I'm not sure how the selection
I
was
don't know.
I
done.
don't know
I
either.
don't know either.
But he was
Yeah,
running. He was running.
He was in England
He was
already.
England running, doing
yeah.
very well. He was well known in the English um, athletic community. People came out to watch. You know, there was very little on TV in those days because the TV was just becoming popular, and
Yeah.
not
It was
and,
just after the war.
and it was just after the war. And in England, you would hear them say, "But there's been a war on," so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
everything's limited. So running track, going to watch people run track, that was their entertainment. That was one of the things you could do for entertainment. And so he built up a following. And he ran with or knew some of the greats. He was friends with Roger Bannister, who was the man who broke the 4 minute mile. Roger Bannister writes about him in his own book. He was friends with Emil Zatopek, who was a long
the marathon.
Czech runner.
Yeah.
He was friends with Fanny something or the other from the Netherlands.
Yes.
Very tall female athlete.
Yes.
You know, people knew him. People knew who he was. I mean, he was such a striking person. And
The Queen knew who he was.
the Queen knew who he was. That he got an MBE.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Hence the top hat.
Mm, yep. You know what I'm happy about? I am happy that he competed for Jamaica.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
happy that he is a part of our legacy because back then I'm sure it would have been easy to compete for
For England.
England or Great Britain
Yes.
because you've had other Jamaicans who have done it, but I'm so happy that he is a part of our legacy. He
Yes.
is our legacy.
Yeah.
Yes. And he always wanted to be back home. Jamaica was home. No matter where he went, Jamaica was home.
Yes, a lot of us feel like that. Any particular reason why he opened his practice in Linstead as opposed to Kingston?
Um,
He wanted to be in the rural
yeah,
areas.
yeah,
Kingston
Awesome.
had lots of hospitals, lots more doctors. Um,
Awesome.
so
Yeah.
he
yeah,
was a country doctor.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sometimes he got paid in stems of bananas or a chicken, you know.
yeah.
Yam and plantain.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. He was truly a Jamaican.
Yes.
Jamaican ambassador in indeed, indeed, indeed. Ladies, I mean, we could go on, and I'm sure there's a lot more to be told. But guys, please go out and buy those books. Please go out and get those books because there's a lot more. There is a lot more in these books. Believe me, there is more in these books. For us to know about this great man, Olympic champion, Olympian, pilot, ambassador, doctor, surgeon, and so much more. Humanitarian, the whole works. Gave back to his community and his people. He touched a lot of lives. He
Yes.
touched my life, and I've never met him.
Yes.
Because anytime I talk about Jamaica track and field legacy, I always go back to the dream team. That's what I call those four men, the dream team. And back in 1948, when Jamaica turned up at the Olympics, we only had 10 track and field athletes, and those four men were a part of that team. So this is history, this is legacy, this is greatness, and it belongs to Jamaica. Now, ladies, I normally give my guest an opportunity to ask me a question. So each of you will get to ask me a question. And yes, and then we wrap up from there. So,
Well, my question is: after the test, do we get a prize?
Colino, yeah, stress me out. So, Mrs. Bond. No, I'm sorry. There's no prize.
I'm troubling you. I'm troubling you.
I just wanted to see how the thing is that I love to do the quiz at the end because it is a way to educate the public, the
Yes.
audience about
Of
the
course,
legacy.
yes.
So I love to do the quizzes.
Well,
So
my
that is
question
fun.
to you is, do you run now still?
No, not anymore. No, I was born in the 70s.
No, I
I'm
was
a big
born in
girl. I'm a
I
big
was born in the 50s. Hello.
I used to, let me be honest with you. I used to run 5K when I was in Jamaica. I was a 5K tete everywhere, the 5Ks for the Cancer Society, for Digicel, for
You should
Sigma,
continue that.
Yeah.
all of them. But
I
let me
just
tell
did a 5K in Toronto. There's a big zoo in Toronto, and they have a 5 and a 10K that runs through the zoo, and it's amazing because
yeah.
you come around the corner,
And you see
and
an elephant.
the giraffes come up to the edge of the cage, and they're looking down at all these funny looking people running past them. It was hilarious.
Wowee.
Yeah.
That sounds
So,
a little scary, but I know
no,
that
no, no,
giraffe,
no,
they're
no.
harmless.
But I did it. I did it. When was it? In September. Did that 5K, and I came third in my age group.
Wow, awesome.
So the
I
challenge
haven't,
to you is to
Start running again.
start running again.
yeah. That's what I miss about being back home in Jamaica.
You don't have to be back home. You're in Florida. You can run in
Yeah,
Florida.
but the thing is, it's so hard to meet people in this country. I don't
No, you join
even,
a
Join a club.
join a track club. Go to your local running store, and I'm sure they have track clubs.
maybe that is what I need to do. But I really love the running because I used to do at least 4 to 5 5Ks, and I've done the Negril Marathon
Oh,
also.
well, very
Reggae
good.
marathon. I've done
Nice.
reggae marathon.
Okay.
I've done
Nice.
Sigma. I've done the Cancer Society, which I think they had a run last week or
Recently.
so.
Yes, they have
Yes,
that.
they normally have it in October, the best month of the year. So yeah, and I normally do the Digicel run, Guardian
So you
Life.
are running.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
Very
just
good.
that I haven't done it in a while since I left home, but it's something that I love to do. keeps me young.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so I love that. But ladies, it was a pleasure having you guys, and I'm just going to give each of you a minute to wrap up, however you want to wrap up, and then I will close out. Thanking everyone.
Well, thank you for considering us, and thank all the people who have written in and made comments. A lot of the names I don't recognize, I have to admit, but it's a great honor to have heard from them and to hear, in some of the cases, how our Father has influenced them in their lives in some way.
Yeah, and I would just also like to echo your call for the museum. I think that's, as we say, it's overdue, but nothing before its time. So I want to encourage you, and I want to encourage others who might be listening to to see how that can be put forward. We have the legacy, so in track and field, and starting now a little bit more now in some of the field events, and even other disciplines, swimming or basketball and cricket, whatever, we're here.
Indeed.
And we need to acknowledge it, and so that's
Totally.
my final word too, for that encouragement.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you guys too. Thank you for doing this, and the audience, they loved it and they appreciate it. Thank you very much for sharing your dad with us. His legacy is unmatched, and Jamaica's legacy is rich indeed. I want to thank everyone who, tuned in and hang out with us. All the names, I don't remember all the names, but guys, thank you very much. Thank you. And join me next week when we will do this all over again with a 1984 Olympic silver medalist, Jamaica Olympic silver medalist, 1984. We will be back here next week. Everyone, thank you. Another Olympian, Vivian Spence Morano, thank you for so many Olympians turn out tonight. And I love that, because here on the program, we're talking about another great Olympian. Tony P said, I get lazy.
I didn't want to say anything, but anyway. Go on, Tony.
Colleen, you started that, he's saying that I got lazy. Evan Saunders, who is a big help to me. Oh my God. She is the one who is helping me to gather the data, and she's just awesome. Another Olympian herself, 1972 for Jamaica and Germany. And of course, she also competed at the Olympic Games, 1976 for Canada. So legacy on top of legacy and stuff. And she's saying, thank you so much, ladies. You did such an awesome job. Your dad would have been so super proud. Super, super proud. And I agree. And guys, have a great weekend. Be safe. And thank you all for being here. Valerie and Colleen Wint, thank you very much for joining me on HP Chat Track. And it's all about track and field, and I thank you guys very much. And remember, guys, go out and get the books, buy the books, and give to your younger children. Let them know about the legacy and the people who have done it. Thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful night and a great weekend. God bless you all. Have a good night.
We're running it all the way, we're in the lead. We're running it, finish line is all I see. Get up on, no, don't stop. Future bright, the vibes nice, oh gosh. No time for slow down, just sprint, can't lapse. We walk the talk, just ask me both tracks. So come through, let's talk about it, what you say? Oh, your girl HP is on her mark, so get set ready.
On your mark, set, go.
Oh yeah, make we chat about it. What if fasting. Make we chat about it. Who run left? Make we chat about it. Check and feel of the topic. Make we chat about it. Latest news. Make we chat about it. All your views. Make we chat about it.
Track and feel chat for say with the girl HP.